Hey there, this is Patrick with Dallas Hockey Hangout, coming to you after a 3-0 shutout. The Stars over the Winnipeg Jets at home. Yeah, a lot to talk about. Pretty exciting game. Gonna try and bring out the fan side of me a little bit more today because it was out against the Jets. Big divisional game, and the energy in the American Airlines Center was pumping. And needless to say, when Jamie Benn fights Adam Lowry, yeah, it was pretty hot. I was pretty excited. And the attempted hit from Pionk on Robertson was just such Bush League stuff. So I was really pleased to see the ruckus, and it's always good to see, Jamie Benn fight. Like I said, the fan side of me is going to come out today because, look, I mean, we don't know how many of these Ben fights we're going to get. I hope that Ben continues to play, but there's part of me that's concerned this might be his last year. I'm not saying I think he's running out of talent or anything. I just think that I wonder how much he has to give just from he's been playing so long and so many playoff battles, but I would expect him back next year, but still, I mean, you see with injuries with Sagan, you never know. You see a big fight like that and a big captain moment like that. That was one I'll remember for a long time. The Stars talk about the 1% of it all and, them being harder to play against. And this honestly, I think that this game was a great display of that, and it seems to be already in their DNA. Look, the Jets are basically out of the playoffs. They are. And, this is a divisional game. They know that Dallas is, already got playoffs locked up. So that's why I think that attempted hit from Pionk was pretty bad. He like almost ducks under Robertson and tries to take out, I don't know, his lower legs. I don't know. And then watching Robertson kind of ignore him, and then I don't know if Pionk's trying to fight him. Like I couldn't get over that because in my head I thought there's no way Robertson's fighting this chum. And so you can see Robertson's just shaking his head like no. And then that's when you get Blackwell, who just goes over and just hogties him essentially. And yeah, Lowry steps in to fight Jamie. They're, talking. Feel like I need to watch that back considering how much I'm saying I enjoyed it. But yeah, there's just part of me that's like, probably because Blackwell held him, but man, I feel like Pionk should have to answer for that. That should have been Pionk fighting Ben, but I don't. So I thought about how I would try and cover this given that this is a family-friendly show. And yeah, let's just say, needless to say, Jamie Benn agreed and that Pionk was not willing to fight. He was calling him out pretty heavily. And honestly, that's what I love to see. That's why I come to hockey games, is the passion of the players, the physicality, it doesn't matter. I had someone recently talk to me about, just not a big sports fan. And, I get that pretty often when I'm talking to people and I talk up hockey, and I'm pretty quick to tell them that that's why hockey is the best, and that, the game can be out of hand, so to speak, and there's still plenty to watch. There's still plenty of plays being had and physicality. And if it's a 30-point game in the NBA, I mean, I can't watch that. If it's a 20 plus blowout in the NFL, I can't watch that. And if it's a blowout in baseball, like, it's just tough to watch. And hockey definitely has that going for it. The excitingness, and there's still so much to enjoy about the game. And at least from an evaluating standpoint, like, we'll get into how should we view this team, but it's 3-0, and I'm looking at, hey, can Dallas lock this down? Can Dallas get the shutout for Oettinger? And I'm happy that they did. This is not a flex, but I just so happened to see Jake Ottinger's dad out and about while I was walking around during the game, and God, that is it. He's big, so I'm not surprised Jake is as big as he was, and very nice man. I just told him how much the Stars fans appreciated having Jake here. So big guy, super nice though. But yeah, let's just get into how should we view this team. And look, Dallas has not been playing well, and they haven't put together a 3-period game in a long time. And even like during their win, like against the Penguins, like they did not play a 3-period game. And even their win over Colorado, which, is a while ago now, I don't think they played a 3-period game there. So look, yes, it's against the Jets. They're out of it. I get that. But let's not forget who's in goal here. Connor Hellebuyck is the man. And I think if anyone's wondering, why Oettinger had the much better game. Well, I mean, look, it's a team game, and it's clear to me. It was clear just from puck drop. Like Winnipeg, this is not the same Winnipeg team. They were not responsible with the puck. They were just sloppy, not a ton of cycling. Scheifele wasn't the normal pain in the butt that he normally is. I'm not even sure if he played. That's how ineffective I thought he was. Yeah, he played, and get this, the most amount of minutes. So, I mean, I thought he was invisible. -1 on the night. A lot of the Jets' best players were. I thought Connor was the most notable, and even still, I thought he was playing a lot of one-on-one hockey. So, look, like when you get that sort of individual contractor stuff going in front of you, you're going to lose a lot of games. And, Winnipeg's not a bad team by any means. Um, you know, obviously not their year, and they had such a slow start to the season, and Hellebuyck gets hurt. That really hurt him. I'm curious how many games he's going to finish with this year. I know he's been just like such a typical workhorse for them. Yeah, I mean, still like regular season, has played 52. It's projected 57. I'm curious. Let's look quick. I mean, I know he pushes 60. Yeah, 63 last year. So he's going to be like 5 games short. So he's, not as. If you're without your starter for 5 or 6 games, that shouldn't be like season killing. So I know that there's other stuff going on in Winnipeg. Interesting to see how they rebuild after this, because I mean, they're still like not out of it. I was saying that before, but I mean, 76 points they have, and there are 3 teams tied at 79. So this was a big hit to their playoff chances, though, for sure. And, Dallas has been playing a schedule where they're playing these really desperate teams. So that's why this is such a great win for them, because Winnipeg is pretty desperate, and, so were the Bruins, so were the Fire, so were the Penguins, and obviously the biggest game of the season coming up for the Stars. But yeah, let's just get into I want to finish off. How should we view this team? It's as a team that has, it's a great first win to get out of the losing column, but, it's going to be tough sledding coming for the Stars coming up. And everyone has, at least a lot of the Stars locals have, the 7-game losing streak to end last season on their mind, I'm sure. But, it's interesting, like just reading it, the tweets from the reporters and stuff, and saying, oh, Dallas doesn't want to head to the playoffs on a bad note. And I would 100% agree, but it's just so interesting. Like the idea that, yeah, you can't just turn it on. Well, it seemed like Dallas turned it on last year. So I'm not saying they'll be able to do it again, but it is pretty interesting when you think about whether or not teams can indeed turn it on. So I think the layoff will be interesting between the last game of the season and the start of the playoffs. I believe the last game of the season is a Wednesday, April 15th. I saw that playoffs are slated to start potentially Saturday. So they'll get some rest, but I'll be interested to see, because I think we're going to see as the playoffs, and I'll do some playoff episodes even if the Stars don't continue, but I think you'll see that as teams, it's dual edge. So I think the Stars had the benefit of just continuing to play. I think that led to some great series against Minnesota and Colorado, but I do think they were worn down by that time. And I think that, having that a fair amount of time off, like I've seen teams like have like a week off between series or something like that. Like, I don't think teams want that. I know this is a complete other tangent, but in the college football playoffs this year, everyone but Indiana, I believe, as the bye teams in the playoffs, lost. So any team that had a break lost. So funny, I know for sure Ohio State lost after having that break. Texas Tech had the loss after the bye, and then Georgia, wrong sport. Focused on hockey, obviously, but needless to say, I do think that like now it's completely different sports, football, but I do think these guys want to keep playing. So needless to say, the rest of the season has that covered for them. It's still every other day from here on out, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see because Dallas has the least amount of games left to play, 6. I think I've seen some of the other teams have 8, 9. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But yeah, we'll just get into the game recap. Dallas best first period I can remember in a while, and they've had some more recently, but because it's typically their second periods that are so good. But yeah, I mean, just really great first period, and the power play goal. That's always great to see that Dallas is continuing to, you know, play well on the power play. And, I think what's a little underrated is the pass that's through the trapezoid. I should have noted that on my notes, but didn't see who passed that. But that getting through to Duchesne is always a good sign. That'll set you up for a good chance. And so he kind of puts his first shot off the outside of the net, gets it right back again, and puts it off the hip of Hellebuyck and in. So, I mean, not the prettiest of goals, but certainly takes an attitude, a goal scorer's attitude, to just get the puck and shoot again and know that the goaltender was retreating. Really smart IQ play by Duchesne. I'm curious I didn't hear his quote on it, but curious to see if he thought that was a lucky goal. I thought that was high hockey IQ to just put it right back on Hellebuyck as he's retreating. So, and then that second goal, man, I want to shout out Lyubushkin that stepped up on the play in the neutral zone to start that play, in which Dallas turns it over, and then there's some tic-tac-toe passing. So it goes Ernie to Huru to Benn to Huru. I think a lot of people were positing that the Benn was trying to shoot and that it blew up on him, but yeah, and it kind of seemed like that way watching it and watching it live and then watching it back. But I will say, Ben is famously a pass first player. So I wonder if he was just between thoughts there and the pass went out. So, I mean, regardless, it was on the tape. So Huru gets his second of his career. And it's just good to see that these depth players are stepping up, and with like Ben doesn't play with Huru and Ernie. So, that bodes really well for the playoffs. I think the more we see the depth players continue to play well, because like it has been a pretty big turnover at the bottom 6 lately with all the injuries. So I think the more that we see the consistency continue and develop from those bottom 6 players, the more I have hope for the Stars in the playoffs, because I do think this is the deepest team I've seen from the Stars in a while. I like now this all depends on them getting healthy, which I'm sure they're going to start the playoffs a little not unhealthy. They're going to start unhealthy. So we'll see how that depth stands up. But I mean, look, Huru, I didn't have as a bottom 6 player this year. And look, I mean, he is taking his opportunity and running with it. I love to see that. And I had mentioned previously, it seems like he's working on his face-offs and trying to develop other parts of his game. So, I mean, the more that Dallas can rely on him in the face-off circle and defensively and, physically, the more likely he is to make this playoff roster. If the playoffs started today and they had their full collection of players, I'd have a hard time leaving Huru off the roster right now. I think it'd be a pretty, and same goes for Ernie, just because, he had a 2-point night. So yeah, it'd be really exciting to see, some of these players come back in, and Dallas is, that I will note on the 11 defensemen, or I'm sorry, 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. I thought that was pretty interesting. When Colorado was having its dip, maybe, 5 or 6 games ago or whatever, they asked McKinnon about it, and he noted that he didn't like playing 11 and 7 and that it messed with their communication. So I don't think teams like to play 11 and 7. Dallas didn't have much of a choice, but Capobianco's slotted in instead of Hughes. Still need to get more on Hughes. Hoping he'll get some more games here down the stretch, and because I do think these games are really valuable, and that you're getting live action for these young guys, and this is so key for their development. Yeah, they may not be playing on the playoffs run coming up, but they're going to need that experience. And I think Dallas is going to be needing a player like Hughes next year, especially as just the reshuffling comes. So yeah, just a really spectacular goal on the second one for Dallas, and love to see tic tac plays. Doesn't matter who they're between, but you love to see it from some of the bottom six forward. So Dallas takes the 2-0 lead into the second, and then you know, they make it 3-0 early in the second. And that was really, I've noticed that when Dallas can extend that lead from 1-2 or 2-3, oftentimes from 2-3, that it really does help their game relax. I've seen some games in which they can't extend it this season, especially during their like little losing streak. Not little, that was a long losing streak. That was a part of it. Anytime that they would, or they could tie the game, they could never take the lead. So this was definitely, anytime you see a big lead, develop, it's nice to see those other goals added, because I think Dallas has struggled with that previously. They're so defensive minded that, they love to take what the other team is giving them. And, Winnipeg gave Dallas a lot of meat on the bone, in this game. So, Winnipeg did not play well. They were really sloppy in their own zone, really sloppy in the neutral zone. Could never really get anything going offensively, and Dallas is really good defensively, getting the puck out of their zone and really just gapping up and not letting Winnipeg wreak too much of it. That said, I don't want to go without, before I talk about this goal, I don't want to go without talking about Jake Onger's performance. I'll just launch right into it because, he's just so sturdy, and when he's playing well, it's very casual. And I think everyone's really always amped up on the, exciting saves, and he had some against Winnipeg. But that said, when he's playing well, he makes it look easy. And he would tell you this, he's patient, he's calm, he's not over aggressive. But man, he made some saves in the first, like big saves at every point of the game to kind of quell whatever sort of comeback Winnipeg was making. It was like a 5-minute section in the second, and then obviously pretty heavily throughout the third, especially late when they pulled their goalie. And it was nice to see that Dallas didn't give up that extra attacker goal. So anyways, the goal from Ernie, Dallas gets their transition game was just elite against Winnipeg. I really thought that was the best part of their game. And that was evident on this third goal because they get in easily. It's a 3-on-2. And then, yes, it doesn't lead to a shot on net, but they're able to cycle the puck to the point, get it to Bishel, who's able to kind of, really rips a shot, and Ernie is able to get a tip on it. The high slot, and that changed it ever so slightly enough to mess with Hellebuyck. I think you can see he's kind of expecting at a different part of the net. So, man, I know it's just 6 goals for Ernie, but the guy made the team on a PTO and has been largely one of their best, bottom 6 forwards from, what you're getting every night. He's going to play hard. He's going to hit. He's going to defend, and he's going to chip in every once in a while. I expect to see some big goals from a big goal or two from Ernie in the playoffs. So I think this is a great sign for him that he's able to get on the board. So yeah, then starts the tomfoolery. You got the Robo reversal. He had a couple in the game, but he had that one on, I think it was a Solomonson. Boys say that a ton. I'm not sure. Sorry, team. I was at the game. I didn't hear Razor pronouncing it enough times, or Josh. So Solomonson, but man, he just got lit up with the reversal, and that's the type of hit that just, as a fan, it makes you just come out of your chair. It gets the people going. No one knows what it means, but it's provocative. Yeah, and then the whole discourse of the Brady Tkachuk stuff comes online after all this, because man, I just love how things escalate. Things are going so great for the Stars. They're having one of the best teams, one of the best games of the season. And then the discourse is, that guy was really stupid for suggesting that the Stars should trade Robertson for Brady Tkachuk. I feel inclined to give my opinion here that trade was worth discussing because both players are awesome. So that said, Robertson's leading the team in goals and points, or if not very close in points. He's been a monster all season, and he's had, in my opinion, his best season of his career. So I was not in the camp of wanting to trade for him. And I know there's that like contract deal, and everyone's worried about paying him too much, potentially more than Rantanen. Well, guess what? The cap has gone up since then, and Robertson is homegrown here. So honestly, I think the number was 11.5 for Rantanen. If they gave Robo the same number, I would be completely fine with that. Dallas needs to lock him down, and they've agreed to not, discuss the contract during the season. I mean, makes perfect sense, and I think you're seeing that he's able to just focus on hockey. Sign him up, in my opinion. Pick him up. But then, yeah, those reversals, you love to see that, because if Robertson can bring that type of game to the playoffs, which, he hasn't exactly had the best playoffs, but Dallas is so deep at forward. I think that you're going to see that again in the playoffs again. Like, you're going to see that, like, for example, let's say Robertson might have a great series against Minnesota, but like we won't hear from like Duchesne or something. Well, I mean, there are matchups, there's last change of it all. So, I mean, there are going to be different players that step up at different times. I expect to have Robertson have his moments, and I feel like he's as confident as ever. I'm as confident in this team in the playoffs as much as I've ever been in the past, I don't know, decade, just because of how solid that they've been from start to finish this year. And even during their losing streak, I thought, maybe it was just because of a bad first period or, some bad luck. Puck luck's a real thing. So I think the only thing that makes me not as confident is just the fact that they have to play a really tough team in the first round, much like they did last year. And yeah, Dallas gets through it, the first two Central teams last year, and then they have to go up against Edmonton. Well, I mean, look, the Pacific isn't exactly world beaters this year. So to see that, Vegas, Edmonton, I think I saw, and we'll look, but I think I saw that Edmonton is back leading the division again. Anaheim has fallen off, and I think Edmonton's won 5 straight. So, I mean, look, it very could easily be that situation again. Now, what gives me more confidence, calling it from the other side, is I don't think Edmonton's goaltending is as good. I don't think Jari is as good as Skinner was for the Oilers. I also have been, I think many people have been noting how poor the Colorado goaltending has been as of late. They can only play one, and they're going to play Wedgwood, but, and his numbers, Wedgwood's numbers have been great this year, but I also think the team playing in front of him has been largely pretty good. So they play high event hockey. I'm not sure that translates. They've won the Stanley Cup, by all means, not dissing the entire franchise. I'm just talking about this iteration of Colorado. I think that there's a pretty good chance that goaltending lets them down and defense lets them down. I think defense, when I say goaltending, I also mean defense. Obviously, if you guys didn't see, but, Makar got hurt recently. If they're without him in the first round, let's say for some reason Colorado meets up with LA or San Jose. I mean, first off, San Jose has Macklin, and he can do things. I would expect him to thrive in a series against Colorado. But then let's say it's LA. Well, LA's a pretty good defensive team, and Panarin has looked good with them. So yeah, I mean, that would be pretty interesting. I'm really excited to see the matchups, but I do think the Pacific, I mean, they've got such an easier path that I do worry for Dallas as they go through that. So yeah, let me touch on the Benn fight here in a second. So I know I led with it, but the captain, it's going to be Benn versus everyone, I think, for the rest of his career. And I'm pretty pleased to hear, at least from the rumblings, that, it doesn't sound like Jamie Benn's going to play for another team in his career. And, I will say it was really tough to watch Madonna go play for Detroit. And it is tough to watch. I think, watching Morrow go play for Tampa, that was okay because it was to the east, in Pittsburgh, and I think St. Louis at some point. But yeah, these guys want to win a cup. I understand that, but it feels like Benn's had his chances here, and he knows that, yeah, he's going to finish his career here in Dallas. Just all-time stuff from the captain. And I really, really encourage you to watch. You're going to have to watch the replay on Victory Plus, because the shortened version of the game didn't have any of the tomfoolery, but I really encourage y'all to go back and watch the what Benn is saying to Pionk after the fight. It's just, you love to see that attitude and the quotes from the players after the game saying how much they appreciated the guy stepping up for Robertson, and even hear Gullison say similar remarks. And he knows he didn't like that attempted hit by Pionk. It could have been so dangerous. Like, I'm so pleased that that's the last thing the Stars need, is for that to I believe that happened last year, right? But Robertson got hurt late in the regular season. I think it might have been the last game of the regular season. He lost several playoff games because of that, and took him a while to warm up. So yeah, you just don't want to see it. And if you're wondering why Dallas is not exactly, playing the best against the Boston Phillies and Pittsburghs of the world, it's because they don't have their playoff lines on the live, and they're thinking, hey, I don't want my knee taken out by the Marcus Folignos of the world. I like pronouncing it Foligno. If I know it's Foligno. But yeah, I mean, needless to say, that Thursday, April 9th game, that's going to be man, that's going to be one for the ages. I said the game of the siege was Colorado, but I think just given that Dallas only has 6 games left, I don't think they can truly catch Colorado for the 1 seed. So, I think I'll shift biggest game of the season to Minnesota, and just that being because it's going to be a tone setter. So yeah, just so love the energy in the American Airlines Center, love the crowd. Everyone loves a fight, but everyone loves when Jamie Benn sticks up. If you were to ask the 18,032, I believe it was, people that are in the American Airlines Center, who their favorite player is, I would wager at least a third of them would probably say Jamie Benn. I'm partial as well. Just those are the games. Like, I'm jacked. If oh man, what was that in? Yeah, I'm jacked up watching a game like that. It just really, and I will give this note as well. Like, man, these games before the playoffs start and they don't really mean something, these are the best times when your team is already clinched and they're just working on stuff for the playoffs. I mean, imagine you're like, because I'm really dialed into the Western Conference race and everything, and imagine you're like these teams on the bubble, and how stressed you are as a fan base, just trying to make it in, let alone feel like you had a chance in the playoffs. So yeah, it's going to be exciting run to the finish in the West, but Stars fans enjoy these games, these low pressure games in which nothing goes wrong. That was just as good of a game as you could hope for. So yeah, and then I had noted just how great Oettinger played there in the third late to secure the shutout. Love seeing that for him. So 3 stars. It's a tough one today. I don't think anyone. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go R2 Huru, and any Star Wars fans, like, which I am. Don't you just love it, him being on the team? R2. Come on, there's got to be, like, shout out. Man, his name is escaping me, but dressing up as Mandalorian, like, can we get him to dress up as R2 and just wheel his way into the game? That'd be so cool. But yeah, R2, and I'm gonna go Oettinger 2nd star because I didn't feel like, Dallas was playing so well that I don't think that they needed him to be crazy. He made some great saves, but that's just my gut of it. So I'm just gonna go Oettinger 2nd star, and then we'll go Ernie 3rd star. So Huru gets a goal and an assist, so does Ernie. I think you could put those 3 in like a blender and come out with any one of them and feel like any one of them could have been the 1st star. So yeah, coming up, we've got Colorado on a day game. I think Dallas they can be kind of sluggish in those. Obviously, they're going to be up. They know that they kind of blew that, they blew that game in early March, in which they were up 2 goals and then lost in a shootout. And then Colorado lost in a shootout in mid-March. So each team has one, but I think Dallas is still feeling as though chip on their shoulder. They've got something to prove. It's going to be at home. The American Airlines Center is going to be pretty raucous, I would imagine. Look, I mean, I had mentioned about Colorado's defense. I mean, they gave up 6 to Vancouver at home. So Vancouver's packed it in for 2 months. Traded away Quinn Hughes 3 months ago, it seemed like. So not the best, but then, game before that, they beat Calgary 9-2. So I think that's a perfect encapsulation of Colorado. No doubt they can score. No doubt. If Dallas sees them in a playoffs, they're going to be very high scoring games. But I'm not convinced that they can defend totally. Just telling you the stats, outside of that 6-game streak, they've given up 2 goals or less in the past, 10 games. Well, 5 games. I'm sorry. I can't read the majority of them. So yeah, I'm concerned for Colorado's defense in this game, especially with, Rantanen is back in the thick of things and what he did to the Avs in the playoffs with his hat trick in Game 7. I think everyone remembers that. I think they're going to be talking about it on the broadcast a little bit because it's that time of year. So, if you're a Stars fan, I would definitely, this game, the Minnesota game, just get in the building. If you don't have the money to see the playoffs, man, come see these games because they're going to be like playoff games. Really looking forward to them. So yeah, and we'll just do a quick standings check because I'm really excited about how it's panning out here. The Sharks have won 4 straight now, I believe, and got themselves into a playoff spot despite a negative 33 goal differential. But San Jose, Nashville, LA, all 3 teams tied for the last playoff spot, but it's San Jose with the game in hand, and Winnipeg's got 76. So, if they had won that game, they'd have been right there. So I had said at the top of the podcast that they weren't going to make the playoffs. That's because my gut. But if you ask the players, they probably still had a chance. Like if they had won this game, they would have had 78 points. It would have just been a point back on San Jose. But San Jose still has that game in hand. But Nashville, the Kings were losing pretty heavily and they came back and got a point. So yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting to see it shake out. It seems as though Utah's separating itself. They're 5 points up on San Jose. But then, Edmonton is at least not the standings I'm looking at, but they're tied with Anaheim at 87 and Vegas is right there at 84. They've won 2 under Tortorella. So the coaching change seems to be doing well. And then, in the East, you've got 2 teams, Ottawa, Detroit at 88, both 75 games played. And then Columbus with 88 at 76 games played, and Philadelphia at 86 with 75 games played. So similar deal with Boston at 94. Similar deal. It's kind of starting to pan out into kind of that race for that last spot. So I'm really, I'm rooting for San Jose. I can't hide it. I really love the Macklin Celebrini story, and to see him in the playoffs would just be, just from the hockey NHL standpoint, that would be big time to get him in the playoffs and get people excited about another young player. And I think the same will be said for when Bedard and the Blackhawks get good again. I think we want these young players in the playoffs. So I really hope that the Sharks make it. And I also hope they make it because I do deep down think that Macklin deserves the Hart. It shouldn't be whether or not, if they don't make it, he obviously shouldn't deserve the Hart, and it shouldn't be like that. But if they make it, he deserves it. It can't be anyone but him, in my opinion. I know that it'll be the McKinnon story, but yeah, it's got to be Mac. So we'll close it there. Stars win 3-0 over the Jets over Winnipeg. For anyone that enjoys a nice pun, Dallas gets at it again. Early game on Saturday, and I'm sure we'll talk to you guys then. If you guys have any comments or questions, at Patrick Hayslip on Twitter, Dallas Hockey Hangout at gmail.com. Reach out. I'd love to hear from you guys. Really appreciate the support. Have a good day.